Welcome back to Mental Models Daily, where we explore one mental model each day to help you elevate your daily decision-making. Today, we're examining a fundamental concept in economics and human behavior, the law of diminishing marginal utility, which explains why each additional unit of something provides less satisfaction than the one before. The law of diminishing marginal utility is more than just having too much of a good thing. It's a profound insight into how humans derive value and satisfaction. Think of it like a thirsty person drinking water. The first glass provides immense satisfaction, the second less so, and by the fifth glass, there's little additional benefit. What makes this concept particularly powerful is how it reveals the natural limits of consumption and helps us optimize resource allocation. A fascinating historical example comes from the Dutch tulip mania of the 1630s. When tulips were first introduced to the Netherlands, they were an exotic luxury, and each new variety brought tremendous excitement and value to collectors. The first tulip bulbs sold for extraordinary prices, with rare varieties worth as much as a house. However, as more tulips were cultivated and traded, each new variety added less novelty and value to collections. By 1637, the market became saturated, and collectors began experiencing diminishing satisfaction from acquiring additional bulbs. This perfectly illustrates diminishing marginal utility. The first unique tulips provided immense value and status to collectors, but each subsequent addition to their collections provided less satisfaction, eventually contributing to the market's dramatic collapse. Some savvy traders who recognized this pattern early diversified their investments into more stable assets, protecting their wealth from the bubble's burst. In the modern business world, Spotify provides an illuminating example of managing diminishing marginal utility. While building their music library, they recognize that after a certain point, adding more songs provides minimal additional value to most users. Instead of just expanding their catalog indefinitely, they focused on developing features like personalized playlists, podcast integration, and discovery algorithms that create new forms of utility. By understanding that simply adding more music would yield diminishing returns, they've created value in ways that complement their core offering. It's like recognizing that building a taller ladder won't help once you've reached the ceiling. You need to find new directions for growth. So, how can we apply diminishing marginal utility thinking in our daily lives? First, practice what I call satisfaction mapping. Before acquiring more of something, assess the additional value each new unit will provide. This might mean questioning whether a larger home will really increase happiness, or if another streaming service subscription will actually enhance entertainment options. It's like having a personal value radar that detects when additional investments will yield meaningful returns. Second, implement resource reallocation. When you notice diminishing returns in one area, consider shifting resources to areas with higher marginal utility. This could mean redirecting time from practicing an already mastered skill to learning a complementary one, or diversifying investments instead of concentrating them. It's like being a farmer who plants different crops rather than trying to squeeze more yield from the same patch of land. Third, develop what I call utility awareness. Learn to recognize the point where additional consumption or investment starts yielding minimal returns. This means being mindful of when more of something stops making you meaningfully better off. It's like having an internal gauge that tells you when to stop adding sugar to your coffee. There's a point where more sweetness doesn't improve the experience. In conclusion, the law of diminishing marginal utility helps us understand the natural limits of value and satisfaction. By recognizing when additional units provide decreasing benefits, we can make better decisions about resource allocation and consumption. In a world of abundant choices and limited resources, this mental model helps us optimize our investments of time, money, and effort. Thank you for joining me today on Mental Models Daily. Until next time, May your returns be maximised, your resources be well allocated, and your satisfaction be optimised. For more mental models, please visit mentalmodelsdaily.com or find us on X or Instagram. Our podcast music was provided by the podcasthost.com and Alitu, the podcast maker. Find your own free podcast music over at thepodcasthost.com/free music.